Welcome, nutritionradio.org listeners. This is Lonnie Lowry, University Nutrition Professor of over 20 years and podcast host of long-running shows like Iron Radio. Come on in. Market news from the food world. Hey, everybody. As we continue to move into the new year, I'd like to take the opportunity to look at some more market trends, this time from a different source. This is from Glanbia. If you're not familiar with the company, they're a global multi-billion-dollar company. They have thousands of employees. My experience with Glanbia, or my understanding of them, is that they produce essentially protein, like whey protein, number one producer of whey protein isolate in the world. They supply companies you might recognize like Optimum Nutrition. Also number one producer of different kinds of cheeses around the world, cheddar, mozzarella, that sort of thing. So a company behind a lot of the companies that you know. And they have their own, what they call mega trends. Here's just some comments from one of their websites here. Knowing how to spot megatrends is both an art and a science. Glanbia Nutritionals analyzes sources ranging from market reports and primary research to trade shows and social media. So they're drawing from a wide range of sources, and we've talked about how AI plays into some of this, and it will continue in the future. I don't know how much they employ AI to do this, but they have looked at what's out there from a wide variety of sources and come up with, we're going to look at 5 mega trends, again, from this company that is behind some of the companies you recognize. Of course, you may recognize Glanbia as well. We actually interviewed a Glanbia sales rep on Iron Radio years ago, Justin. I'll just leave it at that. But great guy, and it's a really interesting company that you can see at a lot of food trade shows and whatnot. So let's get right to it. Megatrend number 1, Etopia, E-A-T-O-P-I-A, Etopia. This one surprises me a little that people don't consider food a source of their health. I mean, the fuel and building blocks that you put in yourself, how can that not influence your health? But apparently it's taken the pandemic to get people awake when it comes to this. It says, in the wake of the pandemic, we're seeing consumers now turn to food and beverage, not just for comfort or health, but as a way to achieve total wellness. So, okay, maybe I'm being a little unfair. They are, in fact, looking at health. Taking this into the wellness term, which is more of a term that describes optimal well-being and not just sort of the absence of disease, people are turning to foods to do that. My personal take on this, my bias, is that they're referring to some of the functional foods that they, help produce the ingredients for, and the formulations that the companies then sell. So megatrend number 1, Etopia. Megatrend number 2, refocusing. Again, according to Glanbia Nutritionals, more consumers globally, 61%, plan to increase their spending on health and wellness in the next 12 months than on any other category, including education, social issues, fashion. There's a couple of different things here. So really turning their attention, the majority of people, 61%, increasing their spending on health and wellness in the next 12 months. Again, maybe in the wake of the pandemic, I don't want to say post-pandemic, but you understand as we move toward an endemic kind of thing. Yes, more people are inoculated and that sort of thing, but interesting refocus. I feel like this is a bit of a lag, and maybe Nutrition Radio listeners do as well, but this big push for immunity, it's just very popular among all kinds of food and beverages. You can see it on everything from, convenience foods, shakes, bars, just general packaged goods in the grocery store. You can see it. Big focus on immunity. And I think most people don't understand what immunity is. The immune system is very complex, and maybe we'll have that as a topic coming up. Megatrend number 3, personalized performance. Again, this is something that's been in the nutrition nerd community for decades, but personalized performance, a trend playing out across the wellness space, felt first by performance-focused consumers. And of course, Nutrition Radio, a lot of you guys are athletes or exercisers, and you're very interested in this personalized nutrition. So what is personalized nutrition? Let's go to a legitimate source here, a trustworthy source. This is from the Tufts newsletter, and if you're not familiar, the Tufts Health and Nutrition letter is a big deal. It's been around for a long time. This is an article from summer of 2020 where they're actually defining personalized, or what's sometimes called precision nutrition. And the idea here is that it's not just general guidelines like the dietary guidelines for Americans. Some of them might not apply to you as much. I think we talked about this back in episode 1 or 2. You might want to take a look. But here they're defining it in this way. Personalized nutrition is an approach that provides targeted nutritional advice to an individual based on information specific to that person, says Joss Ordovs, PhD, Nutrition Science and Policy. Quote, advances in science will increase the odds that a particular dietary pattern is successful for a particular individual. So what makes you individual? There's quite a few things. The two things that come to mind for me the most, and they pointed out in this Tufts newsletter, is the genetic factor. For example, in my work with coffee, I've seen that some people metabolize caffeine very quickly, and others much more slowly. I've also seen huge differences in the polyphenol content of, something like coffee or different fruits and vegetables. Just big differences when it comes to genetics and the response that you have to the different foods, right? This sort of idea of nutrigenetics. You have a certain blueprint to respond to the food in a certain way. The other is, of course, the microbiome. So the trillions of microbes that live in your digestive tract, we're really just teasing that out. We've had people like back on the Iron Radio podcast, like Sarah Campbell, who are experts on how exercise impacts the gut microbiota. So this makes people individual as well. And you could think about other things as well. Anything that would be very unique to your fingerprint. That's one of the things that people are kind of waking up to, especially the athletes. Athletes first in this regard with megatrend number 3, personalized performance. So what else do we have here? Number 4, I like this one, authenticity. Today's consumers are wary of slick marketing techniques like greenwashing. Have you heard of greenwashing? It's hard not to at least have caught a whiff of this, of course. And this is where companies are throwing around words like sustainable or eco-friendly. A lot of these terms are really hard to define. They're defined in different ways by different people. And it can lead to some deception. I could point you to a BBC YouTube video, What is Greenwashing? But I can also summarize it for you here. Just a piece of data they offer in that video. 42% of the use by corporations of sustainable or eco-friendly was deceptive or exaggerated in the European Union. So, this is a problem. A lot of people will talk about this. My own gripe with this is a lot of the companies that I'll work with, they'll say, why don't you switch over to an version of your bill, so we don't have to send you a paper bill. And I'm like, no, I need the physical reminder. I want a receipt. Now, that might kill a tree, yes, but it does make me raise an eyebrow when they're like, let's just go to the, green, sustainable way to do this, and we'll just need your email and a bunch of personal information beyond what we already have, so we can then plaster your inbox with a bunch of ads and that sort of thing. But in any case, there's lots of things with greenwashing, plastics, and a lot of companies, they'll say one thing, but obviously it's to their advantage. It's just, consumer awareness. Obviously you're thinking about how are they going to be benefiting from this green and eco kind of spin that they put on things. So I like megatrend number 4, authenticity. I've seen this from a variety of perspectives, food market people saying, yes, consumers, they smell a bozo, right? They kind of get this idea like, yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying is just in my benefit or just for the trees, or, the environment. And then lastly, Megatrend number 5, co-creation. I think this one is cool as well. Inviting consumers to collaborate on new products, just to give them a voice and help them build trust. I think this is a great idea. This is used in media and podcasting as well. You always hear people on YouTube saying, leave a comment and let me know. That can be good. Interaction is good. They're also feeding the algorithm and trying to get people to interact because, of course, that's what a lot of these social media platforms want to see is people interacting on their platform, so they have a vested interest as well. And, perhaps I'm a little paranoid with that kind of thing, but co-creation can be good when it comes to nutritional products. We've talked about focus groups on this podcast in the past. There's a variety of ways that you can get people to do this. There's, different type of innovation competitions and, Shark Tank-like things. But there's a quick rundown from a corporate source of the trends that are going to shape the foods that are available to you, just so you're kind of aware, these are new things coming at me in 2023. This is some of what the different corporations are looking at. And again, this is a big corporation you may or may not have heard of that's behind some of the brands that you probably are aware of, especially if you're into sort of performance nutrition. So that's it for this time. We'll see you later. The NutritionRadio.org podcast is for informational purposes only. If you're interested in starting a diet or exercise program, check with your physician, nutritionist, or qualified exercise physiologist in order to make the progress that you need.